wanted to have a meeting today, this morning, to discuss um, the possibility of retaining PayIt. I've been asked to attend a meeting tomorrow with Secretary Cerna, our finance, and PayIt. They're actually flying in to meet with us at the Secretary's office. And so I just wanted to kind of meet and maybe kind of go over a list that I had sent to Michelle and Miranda and just see how I could be prepared for this meeting and be ready for any questions they might ask pertaining to where we're where we need to be with them. Um, is it possible, Miranda, to show the list? I'm on a work cell phone because I don't work on Thursdays and Fridays, and I didn't bring my tablet home, but I
No,
wanted to
I
meet
could pull it up
before.
right now. I actually was just looking at it.
Okay, thank you. So I know, Michelle, you said you had some ideas, and basically, my understanding from the secretary is that PayIt can do what we need them to do, and they listed these three things, that they can deposit the revenue into two different bank accounts. It was my understanding that they could not do that the whole
Yeah,
time we met with them.
they said that on several calls that they could not split up the fees and deposit them into different accounts. So I'm glad that they've said that they can. Maybe just the people on the
Right.
call couldn't get permission to do that, but they did. They did say that on several occasions.
Okay. And then I know one of the main concerns, and I know it was like a stop sign for us, is when Tax and Rev wouldn't give them the banking information to start doing the testing.
Right.
And their main thing was, we don't have a data file that separates the fee from the revenue. We cannot, we cannot separate it ourselves. They didn't have a system. They didn't have the people to do it. So um, I wanted to ask you, Miranda and Michelle, the last time we talked about the FTP and them separating it, do you remember where we stopped, where we didn't move forward with them being able to do it? Because I don't think we ever got a clear answer that they could do it, or did we?
So for the FTP site, for the file that we supply to Tax and Rev, the file was not changing. The file was going to continue to be just the permit amount only. And so the only change we had to make was to start generating the file in the test environment, because currently it only produces in production. And so we actually have the code ready to produce that file in test. And our IT department did spin up a test FTP site for us to post that to. But last week, when I let them know that we wouldn't be moving forward with PayIt, they removed that FTP site. So all we need to do for the test environment is get that FTP site and folder back in place. They had done one originally, but they had put it in the same location using the same username and password as the production folder does, but it was just named test. And that goes against security protocols for the state. And so we had our IT department remove that folder and then just create a new test FTP site for the test files with a different username and password, because those username and passwords are actually put into the code so that their system pulls those in automatically. So on our part, all we need to do is get our IT department to put that new file location back in place for an FTP site, and then we would have to change the code for the process that runs every night to generate that file to have that new folder location. So that's a day. I mean, it doesn't take a whole day to do it, but it would, coordinating with IT and coordinating with our development team to change the program that generates the file to have the correct new file location, and for our IT department to create the new folder for the FTP site. They could do that in any part of one day. So that's really all we need to do as far as the file. For the credit card amounts, or the processing fees, we created a report in the system that, so if DOT is going to get those funds for the credit card transaction fees, we have a report, not a file that's automated or anything, but just a report they can pull from the system to make sure that the credit card processing fee amounts they get match what the system expects them to get. And that report should also help them reconcile the bill that PayIt will send monthly to pay back those processing fees. So there's a report in the system for the credit card processing fees for DOT, and the tax and rev file did not change. The only process we needed to change was start generating it in the test environment, since it doesn't currently generate there.
So a question to that, if their file didn't change, I know we had talked about adding a line with the fees to show the difference. So
Right.
what I understand is their
They said not to do
tapestry
that, so we didn't do
system,
it.
not to
Right.
add a separate line for the fee.
Right. Right.
So they would basically get the same report that includes the fee and the permit amount together?
No,
Total?
the file will contain only the permit amount like it does now, just like it does for
Oh,
LexisNexis. Like, we don't include that
oh, okay.
$295 from LexisNexis in the file, and we won't include the $250 from PayIt in the file. So there was some
I
discussion
see.
about adding it as a separate line item at the bottom, or adding it as a separate line item per location. But we never got the go ahead to do that because we really weren't sure, what was going to happen with the fees. So we never added that. So it's never been added to the file, not in the test environment either. But one in test will look just like the one in production does, which is just permit amounts only. So there's no change for us to do for that. For the file itself, the only thing we have to do is spin up that test FTP site and change our program that generates the file so it has the right location for the FTP site in it, so it knows where to post it.
Okay.
So that's easy enough. So that addresses those top three things. Miranda, you want to scroll down if you don't mind? And let's look at the numbered items Lucretia had down. So most of these don't involve us, but you may want some feedback from Desmond here. So the first thing is the testing of the PCI point of sale solution, not connected to the DOT network. So we're not involved in that piece. I guess that's just where they were providing, PayIt was providing documentation to make sure y'all met the PCI compliance rules for the point of sale equipment itself, correct?
Yes. So they do what they call sanitary test, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had gotten the go ahead to, they connected it. They could see where it wasn't on our network at all. What we haven't been able to test with these guys, because remember we sent that list of usernames and security so they could send us back
Right,
the
all their
permissions.
logins. Mm-hmm.
With all their logins and stuff. So my concern is that we don't know that all the ports will have the internet the way they're supposed to, because we're not there yet. We didn't get there yet. And then we would have to get a final validation and a sign off from Secure and the auditor. So when we stopped, that's kind of where that stopped. So we technically can't even move forward until we can test the internet, till they give them all their usernames and everything else.
So what are you testing once you get the internet? Because the point of sale machine just plugs in, right? And it just comes up. How do you know? And I just don't know. So how do you know that that has internet connection to the laptop? How do you
We
know it's
don't.
communicating? But even when you
We
plug
don't
them in
know.
and turn them on, how do you test that?
I don't know. That's my concern.
So they would need to explain that, like how you're going to be able to test that, especially since you can't do test credit card transactions. I mean, you have to use a real card like they talked about, or a prepaid, Visa card or something like that.
I've already got a prepaid Visa card if they'll just give us the okay to do it.
So we'll know that your location internet works with their laptop and their device, but
We won't know about the other ones.
Yeah.
So what are they using for internet for these devices? For the laptop and the point of what is the laptop using?
Laptop.
What's the laptop using?
We don't know. Do you guys know when you plugged it in?
Josh just plugged it into our regular internet here.
Oh, so it was on y'all's internet there.
Yeah, but
he just did that to make sure that they come up and they work.
Right.
Yeah. But technically we can't be on our internet, right?
Yeah, I know. So so y'all don't know what type of internet they're providing, or
AT&T. Well, for here it'll be an AT&T Air card in the computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In their computer, you're saying?
Yes, these computers should have an Air card in them. Laptops compatible with whatever service is in that area. Like here, we have to have AT&T. Some places they can have T-Mobile.
Right. I remember that now.
Yeah. So that's
everybody should be able to. Sorry, Desmond. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they should be able to test them just off of that right there.
Yeah, they should be able even just to turn the laptop on and make sure they can go to Google or something.
Everybody was already supposed to have done that. Now, whether they did or not, I don't know.
So, I mean, that would be the thing that I would suggest for testing the internet is for that laptop, just to make sure you can reliably use it throughout the day to do searches or whatever. So to make sure that their internet connectivity that they have on the built-in Air card that it has, that the internet works.
I'm pretty sure that's right, that they have an Air card compatible to the location.
Well, I would assume, I mean, I remember y'all talking about the internet at different locations, but I didn't know how it was being supplied. So it's just a built-in Air card into the laptop, which
I'm pretty sure. Let me call Josh real fast to make sure.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's what I would suggest, Lucretia, for testing those. First of all, make sure the laptop has internet connectivity. And they can do that by going on a website, by going on NMOps, making sure that they can just get out on the internet on that laptop. And they can do that without even connecting to the device. And then the next thing would be to, plug in the device, and it's using Wi-Fi to connect to the laptop. So I would assume on that, I don't really know what kind of test procedure they could do between the device itself and the laptop. That's not a credit card transaction. I don't know if they can, log into the laptop and see that device or be able to send information to that device, like a permit ID or something like that.
Yeah. They didn't tell us to do any of that. The only thing they told us was just basically plug them in, make sure they come up and that they're working. That's all.
make sure they power on and have connectivity.
Yeah, so I don't think there's
vague deal.
Right. I don't think there's been any good explanation of, like you just said, Desmond, like you plug in the laptop, make sure you have internet connectivity, go to Google, go to NMOps, make sure the laptop itself has connectivity. And then you should go to their website, whatever the website is you're going to be using to send information to the point of sale machines. I'm assuming you're going to go to a web page and you're going to enter like a permit ID, a dollar amount or whatever, and you're going to send it to that point of sale device.
That's where we're going to have the logins for us to be able to log in the system.
So if you can do that and send that to the point of sale device and then see that come up on the screen for the point of sale device, you would know that the two are connected.
It's connected, yes. But until they get us a login,
right?
Like I said, I've got a card here. We can do it, but we haven't got a login to actually get in there and create a permit.
But for this meeting tomorrow, that's the kind of thing, Lucretia, you need to be able to say that y'all don't have any training material that tells the port user step by step what to do with this equipment. How can they test it? And so they need to explain in writing for each location how to open that laptop, log into that laptop, how to verify it has internet connectivity. And you don't even have to do a permit. You can just make up a permit ID and a dollar amount. You just want to make sure you can send something to that point of sale machine and make sure you can look on that point of sale machine and go, yep, it's got the right amount on here. Like it sees what you sent to it. So I think that's what you need to have from them before they even resume. Like you've got to have these instructions, electronic, printout, whatever, to be able to hand to each location for them to say, I did all 10 steps and all 10 steps pass, or whatever that is. Because they keep saying they have all this documentation, but we've yet to see it.
Yeah, we've not
I
seen
know.
anything.
We're not, no, and that's my problem. Like we're not where we need to be. And
So
I'm
that's one of
just,
the things that I would tell them in that meeting that you need before you can move forward. You need the instructions of how you're going to give each location to test internet connectivity, that their laptop works, that it has internet connectivity, and that it can communicate to the device itself.
And it should all be a relatively simple process.
It really should be.
But until we can get our hands on it and try it, we don't know.
Right, but if you don't provide a checklist or instructions for every location, then you don't know everybody tested it the same until you go live, and then you find out it doesn't exactly work. So I really feel like they need to give you something.
Yeah, that was I'm like, okay, they got all the equipment. Now what? Oh, plug them in and turn them on. Okay. And,
Right.
And then when I told them, well, are you going to send gift cards to all the ports? Like, not everybody's willing to pull out a gift card. And my concern too, Michelle, and you correct me if it's not something I should worry about, but they're saying, yeah, do a penny transaction, do 3 cents, do 5 cents. It's like, what about the $1,000 ones? Is it capable of doing more than just penny? I don't know. It should be, right? But
I mean,
do we need to test high dollar amount? Or it doesn't matter?
I don't know that it really matters that much. I think when you get to their website, you see what their character limit is. So like when Desmond, when y'all are testing and you're going in and entering on their screen like a permit ID and a dollar amount, can you enter $1,000 on that screen? And does it look right on the device when you do? And so I think that would be one of the tests they should put. Like, not that it's going to process fine, but that
because Leslie
and
them will be dealing with permits that are in that range.
Well, the customer will. Leslie and them don't actually process the payment, but the customers
on the customer side
the
when they help them.
The oversized permits, some of them run over $1,000.
But on the annual, like sometimes customers are paying for 15 annuals at a time, or multiples rather, sorry. And that's easily over $2,000, $2,500.
Yes.
I guess to me, it sounds like they're leaving all the testing to ProMiles to come up with. Well, you come up with your scenario, your test and that, and they're just like leaving it at that. Because I told them, are you guys willing?
Right. We'll do the documentation for the customer. Like, this is what you're going to see when you click, to go pay for your permit now. This is what it's going to look like. But you're right, they should have provided that. But, we're going to make sure we have that easily written out and sent out to the carriers before this goes live, and that Leslie's office has it for support. But the main activity is these walk-in people. You can't have them guessing how to use the equipment once they start having volume coming in the door.
Exactly. And that's my concern. When we're going to be ready, we got to be ready. And until I see that, we're not okay with them just moving forward. And how do we get to moving forward? How are they going to show us? I guess I had asked for demos. I asked for, they told us they could not print the receipt with the transaction fee and the permit. They can't separate them on a receipt. Well, that's a requirement.
So what's the receipt going to show? Just the total amount, or?
Yeah. And DFA specifically said, does it separate the fee from the permit? And when I asked them, they said no.
Because the email
And-
they send the customer does separate it, but the email that prints out on the thermal device guest does not, because the email the customer gets, am I right, Miranda, that it does have a separate line item for the fee on the PayIt email?
I'm gonna have to relook at that.
Okay. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure I remember it showing it separated, but again, that's not the receipt you're printing out, handing to them, because we're just checking for web sales, like customers that are going to the website. And
Yeah.
I was pretty sure
'Cause
we had like a total permit amount and then a transaction amount, then a total.
And you're saying that was just for the web, so like the
Right,
ports,
because they're entering an email
they don't.
address when they order and all of that. At the port, they're not doing that.
Yeah, the ports is a separate process.
So yeah, so they need for their, let's see, 1, 2, and 3 on this list are pretty much internal things. Number 4 is the testing of internet connectivity, which is kind of what we just talked about, but it needs to go a little further than that. It's not just internet connectivity, it's that the device and the laptop communicate also. Number 5 is that we would need to start the process all over. I don't think we do. I mean, nothing's really changing on our side from what I can see so far, except, we've got to bring that FTP site back up. So the code that we've done, like for the fee changing to $250 and it being just for a batch, for a whole group, if there's more than one permit paid for, all that code's already done. The report's already there for DOT for the credit card processing fees. And so, we do need to finish generating the file in the lower environment. And like I said, the work's been done for that. It does need to change slightly so that the right FTP site location is in that code so it knows where to put the file every day. But that's really the biggest change for us. So number 6 is the FTP site, the breakdown of the permit amount, daily, and transaction. We never did add the transaction fee. So yes, y'all need to look at the file once we get this put back in test or get it put in test, but we'd never added the transaction fee.
Okay. I can change that.
Okay, and then number 7, the receipt, that was what you were just talking about. It has to be separated. So that's a task on PayIt. The deposit permit amount to tax and rev, and the transaction amount into DOT, and then the expense of the printer paper for the different locations, which y'all haven't even seen what a receipt's going to look like yet. So they need to demo this process from start to finish. So I think that addresses what you had. If you don't mind, if we can go scroll to the top now and we kind of go over some ideas that we had for you to think about before your meeting.
Okay.
So first thing we want to do is review your list, which we just did. So the code that we still need is the FTP site and the test file. And I put in here that RIT removed the FTP folder last week. So we just need to put that folder back in place, and then we need to update the program that generates the file to make sure it posts in that new FTP folder. And then one of the things that we had talked about on our calls that we haven't done is to add a receipt page to the end of the permit PDF so that it can be printed with the permit. So I don't know if that's something y'all necessarily want us to do, but it was something that we talked about if the thermal receipt didn't work or didn't work well, that we could add an additional page to the back of the permit that's a separate page. So if the permit's 3 pages, this would be page 4. And it just be a receipt that shows NMDOT, what permits were issued, what the credit card transaction fee, and what the total was. The only thing is that we're more than happy to do that so the customer has something they can walk away with. But that cannot be used to reconcile because that shows what NMDOT thinks. It does not show for sure what happened on the point of sale machine. So
Yeah,
we're
and I
happy to
think it
do
has
that.
to show.
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
happy to do this last part to give y'all something you can print and hand the carrier, but it is not something that can be used for reconciliation. Because you're not comparing it against anything. You're comparing NMOPS to NMOPS. You're not comparing NMOPS to PayIt.
Right.
And it would show the permit amount.
Mm-hmm. Well, just
And
like our receipt
just
does now, it shows the separate, the
okay,
permit amount and then
It's
the,
just the amount, but not the
yeah,
transaction fee.
the
Yeah.
tax and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, Leslie. What do you think?
Um, I just hope they can do everything that we need.
yeah, since we're all just hoping, that's kind of where our number 3 comes from. Because we just don't know. There's no proof in the pudding yet, right? So we don't know yet. There's not a test environment where we can test these. So our suggestion is to go live with one port. And to do that, you might have to let them charge, if they can, $2.95 so that you're not charging a different amount at different port locations. That's something that y'all would have to discuss internally and decide on. It would be our recommendation that everybody's fee be the same so that people aren't trying to go to a different port to save 40 cents or whatever, or 45 cents. And also for, like in NMOPS, right now, the functionality only lets us put $1 amount. The transaction fee is either $2.50 or it's $2.95. We don't have a way to separate it by location. So that's why we would recommend letting them charge the whole $2.95 at first, if that's possible. Or if it's not possible, then we need to implement a way to do the fees by location. So we would need to do that. But have that one location come up, have that one location see how credits work, how refunds work, how reconciling works, how their support works after hours. Because I am really afraid of y'all breaking away from LexisNexis and changing all locations to PayIt, and then finding out then it doesn't meet the requirements, it doesn't meet the need. And then you've got all these locations that can't reconcile, that can't close out, that can't balance, you know, the whole thing. If we had one location, you know, and maybe it's Desmond and Josh, because, you know, you've got Josh and Desmond both who understand this process, and Josh is a little tech savvy to understand like what the roadblocks are. That's just
Can
our
you tell me,
suggestion.
Michelle? Can you tell me, Michelle? I remember in the beginning something about they couldn't do that in test. It had to be in production. Well, we can't do anything in production until Securin finalizes the approval. We're in a catch-22. They can't do anything in production
Right.
until the whole
So yeah, so your
everything's
list has to
approved.
happen first. Your list definitely has to happen first. But once that list is done, it is just our recommendation that you all consider going live with a single location, not web, not all the ports, just maybe one port to.
So what? Yeah, go ahead, Michelle. Finish up and all.
I was just going to say, just kind of weed out any problems. And if it doesn't work, you've only got one location to go back to LexisNexis. Not you've lost LexisNexis, your 6 months is up, and now you're just stuck trying to make this work and with no easy way to figure out how to reconcile. As much as they haven't had their documentation and stuff up front, I'm more concerned with your support and balancing and being able to do cancel transactions or voids or whatever.
Lucretia, can you ask them in that meeting tomorrow if there is a way that we could just bring on Sam home for 10 days, and this be the only port. We'll run a 10-day run on it. And because we're 24 hours, that way, if we do have something go wrong at night, we can figure out. Because they never said nothing that made me feel comfortable that they're going to have support for us at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I didn't hear that either.
And I never once, they kind of dodged that question. And,
So
but
I
if
would
we could do
intentionally
that,
make those phone calls, even if you don't have a problem, just to
yes, just to
see,
make sure. Yeah,
because you have customers who want support at that time of night too. You've got
exactly.
customers that order online 24/7.
Yeah. So
Well, see,
we
and that was my whole point when I requested San Juan as the pilot site, because it is a bigger port. But I'm thinking testing everything behind the scenes, the deposit, the permits, the receipts, all that prior to production. Why they're coming back and saying they can't do that, I don't understand.
right. Well, then, we'll
What do you think,
present
Michelle?
that to them tomorrow. Present it tomorrow that we
Yeah.
have one port that's willing to go online for 10 days. And then we
I
can
don't
do all,
think we're going to get that waiver. I'll be honest with you.
then we
There,
could do all the testing and all the stuff and find out if there are any quirks or kinks that we need to get worked out.
but production is actually,
Yeah, you would still have to do your steps first, like your bullet list, Lucretia, would need
Yes.
to be done first, so we've got security and
Yeah.
everything behind us. Now,
yeah.
LexisNexis, I don't know if they had a test environment for the ports either, honestly, because the ports were already
Do you
using
remember?
LexisNexis card swipes before we ever came into the picture.
Yeah, it's too far
Desmond,
back.
were you there?
I
You
don't
don't remember?
recall, but we went from the printed pink checks to the credit card stuff. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I know I was
That
just
predates
excited.
us.
Yeah, I was just excited because I didn't have to deal with those damn pink checks every day. So,
Yeah.
'cause we
Okay,
just
So,
have
well,
to
so
come out.
PayIt
I
does have a test site for us. Like for the web transactions, there is a test environment, but we're not actually presenting a credit card. We have a test credit card number that we use, and we're not actually processing anything. We don't have a card in hand, which is different than the
yeah.
port locations where you have to have a card in hand. So I don't know how LexisNexis tested that. They seem to be more hands-on in the beginning, and I would imagine actually Mike Webb, I could probably ask him because he worked for them back then.
Yeah.
Mike Webb that works for us worked for LexisNexis, and I think he was part of the onboarding for the credit cards back when it first started. But it's been a long time ago. I don't know that he'll remember either. But I would have known LexisNexis back in the beginning, not now. I would assume they were at the different locations if they had Mike at each location, just to test the
Yeah.
machine and make sure the credit card transaction went through, and then go to the next location. Because I have talked to him about it and to Tim about it, and he does remember going to each location and just spending a few days
Yeah.
traveling the state.
And that's what I wanted PayIt to do, and they weren't for that. Did you see? Well, we could do video, or we could, do a phone call, and I'm like,
No, they need to be on
it's not
site,
the
making
same.
sure that equipment's working, do a
Yeah.
credit card transaction, make sure it all comes back, and then void it all. You don't really even have to do anything. Since there's no communication between the permit system and the point of sale machine, you really don't even have to do a permit. You can make up a permit ID because this transaction is getting voided anyway, and a dollar amount, and just make sure the whole thing goes through. So, I mean, if they're flying in for this meeting, that's what I would ask for. I would ask that they go location by location, and they may say that wasn't part of their initial cost or it wasn't part of the requirement. But, if they want to keep the contract, that may be something they need to consider.
Yeah,
It's not like it's that many locations it's not that far between all those different locations. You could do it in a week easily.
Yep. That's
well,
what
and even if they get to come here and show us, I mean, me and Josh could go around and get everybody online or teach or whatever. But I feel like it's their product.
Responsibility to make sure their equipment's
should-
working, communicating,
Yeah.
and everything. And while they're there checking that, they might as well do a test transaction.
I think they kind of hold to that theory. Don't worry about the wagon, just hook up the horses. And-
Yeah. Oh, heck, we
So-
forgot to put the wheels on the wagon.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of feel like that's kind of what's going on here. So
So I know that when you're
Yeah,
switching to a new vendor, there's a lot of concern no matter what the product is. I know that there was concerns with us even, because it was a big change and day one was hard. Y'all had traffic backed up. It was a lot of change. Uh, there was a lot going on those first few days. So, you know, not all change is easy, but
But you guys were
we
there for the support.
we were
though.
there for the support and we didn't leave until things calmed down. And I think that's where we're missing the connect here. We need to make sure they're going to have feet on the ground and make sure that this works and that it's a smooth enough transaction that, you know, traffic's not backing up because you can't process anything on your card swipe machine, or you're not having to just put the green light on and let people go to keep traffic cleared, because I know you can't let them line up on the highway or anything.
You can't clear
Um, yeah. So anyway, I think
yeah,
that's our main
absolutely.
concern. We just don't feel that we're going to be here for you no matter what. It's like, here you go, good luck.
Yeah,
And
exactly. That's my concern. That's what I've been feeling since day one. It's like, okay, are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Are you coming over here? Are you bringing your own credit card? How are you? No, nothing.
yeah, I just feel like they're more, I don't know their history, so I shouldn't say what they're more accustomed to, but it seems like they're more accustomed to a web transaction where, they can't be everywhere because your customers are online. So we can test a few transactions, see that it works, and, we're off to the races. It's not like dealing with all of these separate locations, which I don't think they've fully committed to that either, is that the close process is separate for each location. We got to make sure they're not settling with one deposit to Wells Fargo. It's supposed to be separated by location like it
Right.
is now. And I don't think we've got a commitment on that.
Yep,
I think
that's another thing that I didn't write down. So it's not settling with one deposit. Can you say that again?
So it's settling with per location. So there would be multiple deposits to Wells Fargo, one for each location daily.
And then the web on top of that.
Right. And then the web is a different location, which is how LexisNexis does it. We're just basically a different port location almost. They call them cash offices just in the background. And so we're just a different cash office or location, just like a port or the permit office and then the different ports.
Yeah. Okay. And the timing, so let's see, we have 2 days before contract ends for Vital Check. Right now, been asked to do an emergency procurement um for Vital Check to extend them. And there's if they keep PayIt, they're saying, well, then we don't need, Vital Check for 6 months. Maybe we need him for another month. So they're going to try and get a target launch date from PayIt, I guarantee, tomorrow. And they're going to say, we can go live by February 12th, and I'm saying, Vital Check has been hanging by a thread to keep this contract, and they're always available. And they were very willing to extend the contract, and we're going to be in a procurement violation without a contract. And I just feel like it's not fair to Vital Check. Offer them 6 months and then take it from them. You know, in your honest opinion, Michelle, how long reasonably, if they could commit to what we're saying, would you say we could go live? Just an estimate.
So in my opinion, I would wait until they can produce what you're asking for to set a date.
Okay.
Because once you set that date and you get committed to that, then it gets to be a week before that date, and if they've got 3 things they haven't supplied, they're going to be like, well, we can't meet the date and give you these things. So what are we, we can give you these things
Exactly.
later.
Because
So
that's what
like
I
the
feel is
training
happening.
material and a training, a plan, like a written plan from them and a training document of some sort. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy about how you test the laptop in the point of sale machine. And then there's nothing on there. The ports have nothing that I'm aware of for day-to-day operations, for their signage that they won't put in the locations, for their day-to-day. How do you do a void? How do you close out for the day? How do you, how do you log in? I don't think they have any of those instructions yet, if I'm not mistaken. And so
They
all
do
that
not.
documentation needs to be presented so you know it exists before you can even agree to move forward. And to me, like, they've got to show you, here's our packet, here's what we're going to give each user, each location, to explain how to do their testing, how to do their day-to-day.
Okay.
And
Good.
then once they can present, and then their signage, because everybody's wanting stickers or magnets or something like that to put up. It shouldn't be up to y'all to create this stuff. Like, they should have, they keep saying they have, so they should be able to give you a packet that goes for each location, like that has all of that together. So that, and if it means putting a prepaid credit card in there too for testing, then so be it. That's part of that packet for that location. I just think you need to be
Yeah.
real clear about what you want from them before you agree to extend or even consider. Like, it just has to be real precise. This is our list of 5 things. These are still what we have, you have a bullet list of what still has to be accomplished for testing and things like that. But a real concise list of these are our demands, basically. These are what we have to have before, and let them give you those things and then revisit a date. But I would also ask about this one location. They still need to give you that packet of information for all the different locations. But in addition to that, if they're not going to be on site with feet on the ground when this goes live, then they need to agree to a single location going live. Once all the security stuff is done, once all the documentation is provided, go live with one location so that you all have the confidence that this is going to work effectively and that it's, it's easy enough to understand, it's easy enough to reconcile, it's easy enough to avoid, all of those different things that you do every day.
Because if they're not gonna give us that support, if we can at least have a week or 10 days here, then me and Josh can answer phone calls
Right.
from the courts and try to help them through it,
Right. And y'all can tell Leslie too some of the problems y'all had on their website, because customers are going to their website basically. Is their website down? Is it, does it go in New York? The payment website is allowed to go down every Sunday for 12 hours, which I'm not saying PayIt would do anything like that. I'm just saying that that's a known thing for New York customers, that they can go down on Sundays for this 12-hour period for maintenance. They hardly ever do it, but it's on their website all the time that they could be down on Sundays for that. And the only reason I bring that up is like, well, how reliable is their website? Does it go down? Like, have they given y'all anything about their uptime?
Well,
Because we're required to have
no, they haven't.
99.97, I believe, uptime. So do we know what their uptime is? Because customers are going to a website, the ports are going to a website to process these payments. So I think if it were me, that would be another question, is can they provide some type of documentation on their uptime percentage?
Okay.
That should be
Well,
that should
that
be a
was
number
one
to
of
look
my
at.
concerns because they didn't have good reviews, PayIt. And I said, you guys forced me to do an ITB, which is the lowest bidder. PayIt is not a good company to work with. They have a lot of complaints. They're not good. Their system's not good. And then, nope, we got to go with the lowest bidder. So that's it. Just pretty much shut your mouth. And we got give them the award letter. That was it. Lowest bidder, 250. They came in and they got it. Now that's why we're dealing with so much stuff,
Right.
because you don't know till you get there that, oh,
Yeah.
this is how you get to the internet. We have laptops. We don't have cellular data cards. Oh, this is how you put your well, we'll go ahead and supply the printers. Well, yeah, but not the paper. And oh, what do you mean testing? Yeah, just use your own credit. That we're here now, and they're saying, well, that wasn't in the RFP. And I'm like, well, there was no RFP.
There
First
was
of
no
all.
RFP. Yeah, exactly.
There was no RFP. And basically, I took what Vital Check does, their contract, and put it in there. Vital Check threw in a lot of things that aren't in the contract for free,
They
and all
did.
these services and everything else that they do. So how could I put in something that was free that I don't know is free, that shouldn't be free? And it's been a nightmare. And that's why we're here still without this company going live. But I really appreciate.
I mean, it shouldn't take 6 months, to be honest. It shouldn't. I mean, if you can give them clear, like, this is what we got to have, yes or no, and when can you give it to us, then the development part doesn't take, there's not much development left on our side at all to do. Ours is just with a test file. So, the code's in place on our side, and it sounds like it's in place on their side. We just don't have a good way to test it. We don't have a good way to get through security testing.
And if LaCrystal can get, if she can give them a list of this stuff that you guys got to have this stuff in place before we start, if they can't provide that stuff, it might give
Right.
us a way to get out of the contract.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why
And I'll email
I'm
you after
writing
this call
everything.
too what that list is, like what our idea of this list is, and then y'all can add to it. I'll just
Okay,
reply to all
perfect.
on this email with like what we've kind of said, and Miranda is going to also,
Yeah.
she's recording this, and she'll take it and make like a YouTube link out of it so she can send it to y'all, so you have a recording of this call too to listen back to. Please don't play it to pay it. But
Oh no, I've been writing everything down just as we go.
well, she's
but
recording too, and it'll make a private YouTube link, so you can't search on YouTube for it. You'd have to have the exact link to be able to listen to it. So she'll send that to all of y'all and to Josh, and I'll send just kind of a bullet list back to what we said, just so that y'all have got that, and y'all can add, take away from it, whatever, to present at the meeting tomorrow.
Yeah. So you said, okay, can you give it to, okay, code in place with NMOps. You have no good way of testing. What did you say on that last part? We have no good way of testing.
My mouth has run a lot, so I don't know.
Okay, I'll just listen to the recording. That's okay. Yeah, I get it. I do the same thing.
We need that for this deal though. So
Yeah, no.
I know the support you guys provided when we went live was great, because I am sure that
got to meet
I'm
you.
sure there was a time frame there when if you saw my number come up on your thing, you were like, I don't want to talk to this guy ever again.
You are not that person. I do have one person that I did not enjoy as much, but only because they could never really tell me what was going wrong. I have loved working with you, Desmond. I'm not kidding. And Bill, I miss Bill, working with Bill too, because y'all really understood the product and what it needed to do. And so it was great getting feedback from y'all, even if there was a problem in the system, because it showed us stuff we needed to fix.
Right.
But some of the calls we've gotten, mostly from customers, have been really funny over the years, but that's true for every system. My favorite still, and it's not New Mexico, I forget what state it was, when a customer called and asked us, did they have to have a computer to do this? And I was like, you do not. Actually, you need to call this permit service. This is their number. If you don't have a computer, we're not even going to start with this conversation.
Let me send you down a different rabbit hole.
Yeah, like, here's the number to ComData. They can order your permits for you.
Exactly. That's funny.
Yeah, I just, even if we do a test location which is, I mean, it's not a test location, it's a production location, and do one. You know, anybody can put, I feel like it's kind of like a, you know, a 90-day temp employee. Anybody can put a good face on for 90 days. It doesn't prove it's going to be seamless, but it
Right.
does prove it works, that their site is up, that their support is there. You know, nobody's going to be perfect. We go down sometimes. We've had server failures. We've had a fire in the database, in the data center. Like, things are going to happen. But, you know, we at least need to have some confidence that what they're saying is accurate, and the things that they aren't saying don't bite us.
And you might
I just
mention,
hope,
go
I
ahead.
just hope they're gonna be able to maintain what they're saying they can, because when, whatever we've asked, they are like, no, we don't do that, or they're like just kind of passing it. So I
Right.
just hope that they are able to do what they're gonna be able to offer.
Y'all issue a lot of permits, and it just, you know, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of permits. It's a lot of time. The site has to be available. And I'm not saying they're not capable. They're just not giving that layer of confidence that I think y'all need to have, and that
Lucretia,
and,
do
And
and
you
I
that we
mind,
think,
don't feel.
and I, go ahead, Desmond.
you might make sure they understand we want to do a production run, not a test deal. So that they know that they're not thinking we're just wanting to test the system, that we want to actually do a production deal for a port, for one port.
Right. And I still think in the back of my mind, even though we do one port and it's good, I think we need to do another port and then another port and then another port. I don't think we need to
And
do one port
that's not a
and
bad
then go
idea.
live with the
Yeah,
other
that's not
11
bad
because
idea either.
But I
I
don't
don't
think you
have
have to do
confidence.
every port for 10 days either. Like, I think you could go live with
No.
one port for like 10 days just for proof in the pudding kind of thing. And then pick
Yeah.
another port or two even to roll in and help them work through any kinks. And then another port or two. And, you know, maybe it takes a month and a half or 2 months to get everybody up and running. Now, you know, finance has to agree with this because they're going to be getting deposits from 2 different vendors at that time. So finance may not even agree with that approach. So that is, you know, they shouldn't be getting like 2 deposits for, you know, San Juan or whatever. They should be getting a deposit either from LexisNexis or from PayIt. So it's not like we're going to be doing both credit card processors at the same location. So they would still only be getting one payment per location. It's just they might be getting that payment from LexisNexis, and then the other location still getting it from PayIt.
So then I would need LexisNexis to agree with that too, that they're not going to get paid for
Certain
that month
location,
or whatever.
right?
Yeah, it's
I don't think they're going
quite
to care because
challenging.
I don't either. They're just
looking,
making money off this right now, so
they're
I think they're
licking their
okay.
chops, thinking they may not lose this contract after all. So,
But they would have to turn off whatever it is that automatically it goes to them. Like they would need to be on board with this, right?
yeah, I think they will.
Like
Like I said, if they can do anything to maybe sway us back to them, they're going to do it.
I mean, it's an idea. I'll write it down and I'll bring it up.
But they can't say no if we don't ask.
Exactly.
But Tax and Rev is going to need to also be involved where they're not getting this from LexisNexis. Now they're getting it from PayIt. So it's all the right people at the table agreeing to it. You know what I'm saying? And secure it.
They should be in your meeting tomorrow, correct?
Well, we have somebody from Tax and Rev. We do not have anybody from Securin at this point. My understanding is they're coming to say, yes, we can do that. We can deposit into accounts and we're good, and show us a flow. Because based off that email of those 3 things that they could do, that's literally what the meeting's about. And I'm like, what about the rest?
Yeah.
So I can propose it and we can go from there. But That's why I'd like to keep Lexus for 6 months just as a backup, because I have a feeling PayIt's going to go away after all this is said and done. And even if we start the ports setting them up in that, I think they're going to go away. I really do.
Yeah, I don't see them being able to make a lot of money off of this, so I'm surprised they've stuck with it this long, honestly. I mean, they're going to make money off your really low priced trip permits, but they're not going to make money off your multiples. They're going to lose money like crazy because they're per transaction, not per permit. So they're going to be doing $2,500 transactions for $2.50. You know, they're going to lose money left and right on that. And I had figured out, and I don't remember, I'd figured out like where I think a permit price would have to be for them to even make money to begin with. And it's a pretty low dollar amount for them to be able to make money off of these.
And honestly, I don't even know where that came up. I still don't know, because I copied what Vital Check says, and it says per
Think it's-
transaction, not for permit. Do you
Well-
remember
Well,
Vital?
it's because when y'all
remember Vital
first signed
Check?
up with LexisNexis, you didn't have a shopping cart. And so every permit was a transaction. And so once we came into the picture, you had a shopping cart and you could pick 15 at a time and pay for them at one time. And so since LexisNexis had already been charging per permit to them was per transaction. And then once we, like I said, once we introduced the shopping cart within NMOPS and gave the customers the ability to pay for 15 permits at a time, then LexisNexis continued to charge per permit because that's what they'd been doing all along. I just think in the beginning, it was defined as a permit was a transaction. Back in the beginning, before NMOPS came along.
Which it should be. I mean, I think it should be.
Just because the customer has an option in a shopping cart to click on 10 or 15 and say, yeah, I want all of these, they should be per permit, in my opinion. You're going to put a vendor in a situation where they can't financially support the product if they're only making $2.50 off of paying for a batch of 15 permits.
But I guess where I'm lost is the wording from Vital Check.
Well, it's just a definition, though. How do you define transaction? Is transaction a permit? Is transaction everything you pay for at one time?
Honestly, I don't even know how we defined it. All I did was
I don't think it is defined.
Vital Check had.
I think it just says transaction. And so that could be interpreted different ways by different people.
So do you think, because technically, I don't remember anybody saying that it's not a permit. Where did we come up with?
They came back and said, PayIt said, we understand that no matter how many permits they pay for at one time, that's a transaction.
Well, then they're interpreting it like that, because I was like, where did that come from? That was not the intention with the contract. Do we correct it and say, no, you read it wrong, it's per permit?
I think they thought per permit when they responded, and they learned per transaction, meaning one shopping cart transaction, once the call started.
So just leave it.
I mean, that's up to y'all. That's up to y'all. I just feel like they're going to lose a substantial amount of money that I don't know how they support the product at that rate.
Maybe they'll back out of the deal after this meeting themselves. We don't have to worry about cutting them off.
Especially if you give them a list of what you need before you can commit, and they're like, you know, never mind. And then especially if one of those requirements is to be at a location when it goes live.
Yep. Well, it should be. I mean, I'm not the one sitting at the port with all the trucks backed up. These guys are like, we need to have our ducks in order. We're not going to just be thrown into a new system and here you go, figure it out.
But we can get some angry, rude people.
Well, yeah, I would be mad. You know?
I mean, the port users are just trying to help them get out the door, but they've
Right.
got to be able to have a system that they know how to use and works to be able to do that.
Mm.
All right, Miranda will get the recording to y'all. I'll get this bullet list back to y'all. Say a prayer for you tomorrow, Lucretia,
Thank
in this
you.
meeting.
I need prayers and I'm praying for you also. And yeah, I just
Thank
don't want to
you.
go in there unprepared. And I need everybody's input because this doesn't just affect one office or one
Right.
location.
It affects all your customers and all your users for the state, the
All
permit
our
office, the ports,
stakeholder,
everybody.
they don't realize it affects the distribution too. Like tax and
Right.
rev has to distribute all this money back into the state. And, you know, it's just, it's overwhelming is what it is.
It's a lot. I'll be in
Okay.
Phoenix all next week, having some different procedures on my back. So
Well, good
if,
luck. I will say
thank
prayers.
you. Thank you. But if something comes up where y'all need me on a call or something, Miranda, I won't be watching emails a whole lot, but I'll just touch base with Miranda and try to join anything that may come up, you know, as long as it's
Okay.
not during a procedure time.
Okay. Well, everything will go good and good for you and find some relief.
Thank
Hope and
you.
pray that all works out good.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you too for all your support, you and Miranda and your whole team and helping us work through this because it has to work. It has to work
It
for
does.
you guys just as
Well,
much
we
as it
want it
has
to be
to work for us.
successful. You know,
Yeah.
it needs to be successful.
Yes.
And you know, and it doesn't hurt to give LexisNexis a little competition. Maybe they'll get that support, their support lined out a little bit, and if it does end up back in their hands, you know,
Yeah.
that's a sticking point for them. Is their after-hour support's not great? Their during-hour support's not great,
Right.
but the product's good.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'll follow up with y'all here shortly with a link for the call and just a bullet list of our thoughts.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, y'all.
You guys
Have a good rest of
have
your
a great
day.
day. And I will let you